Welcome back, fellow audio enthusiasts. It is I, Jason, your host of 2-Channel Listening. This is the third installment of the $1,500 bookshelf challenge. The Dark Horse Challenger from Germany. I saved this one for the third video for a reason, due to there's a lot to unpack here. And this is going to be a little bit longer, so I hope you stay with me because I actually do a little bit of do-it-yourself with this particular speaker. So without further ado, we started with the Aperion Audio, the V8B. Then we did the Monitor Audio, Silver 7G. They're gone, couldn't stand them, bye-bye, never come back. And then we have here the Heco Celan Revolution number 3, or just 3. Now, for Northern Americans, for North America, Heco is not really a household name out here. I was quite surprised to see that Heco actually dates all the way back to 1949 as a German audio speaker brand. Moreover, the Celan model, or the Celan series, is the longest running model lineup within the Heco family. Again, not really ever exposed to Heco speakers. This is the first time I've had any exposure to them, and really that's due to the fact that Audio Advice over in the Carolinas, they are the exclusive distributor for the Heco brand to the United States. Unfortunately, I don't know what the distribution agreement is because they only carry my least favorite version, the Piano Black. There is a walnut version of the Revolution 3 that is the one I would have bought. Secondarily, I would have gone with the Piano White because this thing is a bear to keep clean. With as often as I have to move these speakers around, oh, I hate Piano Black. Anyway, there's three main reasons of why I chose to go with the Heco Celan. First and foremost is price. When it was originally debuted at Audio Advice, these were $1,649. Now, I don't know if this is a red flag, but Audio Advice has been blowing these out new at $1,149 US. As a matter of fact, I looked last night. They have an open box version of these for $900. Is that a red flag? I don't know. So let's get into it. What you have here is a 9.5-inch wide cabinet. It's 12 inches deep, and because of this lute shape, it is 16 inches tall. Now, the second reason I bought it was definitely because of the looks. While I hate Piano Black, of the 3 speakers in the $1,500 bookshelf challenge, this is by far to me one of the more handsome of speakers. The way it's finished, it automatically makes me think of Sonus Faber, and you've got the Sonato, you've got the Venere brand, and that's exactly what this reminds me of. I don't know who came up with that lute shape first. Sonus has been using that for quite a long time, so I don't know who's biting off of who, but I like it. It looks very good, and so from that perspective, that's why I bought it. The third is the tough one. The specification sheets. So here you go. This is a 6.7-inch paper driver, so I'm already won over by the fact that they're using a paper cone woofer. However, I thought Germans were incapable of lying. Let me say that differently. 30 hertz. This bookshelf speaker is supposed to be good down to 30 hertz with a 6.7-inch paper driver. The tweeter is supposed to be good all the way to 52K. Now, I guess it goes that if you don't have instrumentation that can refute that, is it untrue? We know we can't come close to hearing half of that frequency range. Again, how do we refute that? But then again, why is it even relevant to say 52K? You could say 25K and it's beyond our hearing, and who cares? I don't know. I digress on that. That's a strange measurement. What I will say is the V8B over there, that 8-inch, that massive 8-inch woofer that is a bigger cabinet, that's a 30 hertz bookshelf speaker. The Monitor Audio, an 8-inch woofer, is down 6 dB at 35 hertz. I'm going to say in my listening room, that's about what I experienced. So I would say that these are good for about the mid-30s range. No way in my room did this thing get down to 30 hertz, but I'll get to that later. All right, back to the handsome part. Here's what I do appreciate. The way that the drivers are affixed to the front baffle. Good on Heco for using these double fasteners. Not only are they a double fastener, but it is a star nut top, which is all steel, and it is not, I repeat, it is not cheesy drywall screws like another speaker company that I've owned before that only used drywall screws to put their driver into the front baffle, so that when I took it out, tried to put it back in, I had already lost the bite. Yeah, so good on Heco for using these double steel fasteners. It goes into the cabinet nice and flush, and it's got this brushed aluminum trim, which looks really good. It's all part of the cast basket, which I'll get to that as well. But you got a nice paper driver here. The waveguide. Now, this is German. They call this Fluctus. This is a Fluctus tweeter. I'm not kidding you. Go look at the website. This is their version of the waveguide, and what you have is not a silk dome. This is what Heco calls their polyfiber composite. So it's a PFC, polyfiber composite. It's an oversized tweeter. It's actually 30 millimeters. The magnet system on it, I'll get to that in a minute. So you have a very handsome front. The front baffle is nice and clean. And you know what, like I said, of the 3 speakers, to me this is the best looking of the 3 speakers from a presentation perspective. And you have a pretty stout, you've got a pretty stout grill here. It is made out of normal MDF. It has little felt pads on it, and it's magnetic, and it affixes nicely. And you heard that snap. It's got good grip. No issues there. The lute travels up. You've got the Heco metal nameplate up top. Nice touch. Tapers to the back. 6 inches back here. Humongous rear port. Just a huge rear port out the back. It is bi-wireable. All 3 speakers were bi-wireable. And different from Aperion audio, this one starts at 0 dB and gives you the option of boosting instead of trimming. The Aperion audio, you get a negative dB3 you get a negative 3 dB trim here. You get a 2 dB boost here. Yeah, no, I left that one alone. I figure that's for the Focal folks, but I digress. It has a nice metal plate that the binding posts are affixed to. You have 6 fasteners, and from the exterior, it is just all the way around. It is a very nice looking speaker, and I even appreciated the fact that it came with the rubber footers on the bottom of the speaker, because I've been moving these back and forth to my bedroom set, and it sits on the bureau, so that's perfect for picking that up. You know, well executed box, well executed exterior. Let me correct that, because we're going to get to that. All right, the interior. I don't know. Do I talk about that right now? Yes. When I took the drivers out, here's where the problem started. The Monitor Audio has excellent bracing throughout the cabinet, nice stiff sidewalls, lots of that thick foam. The Aperion audio, You've got HDF, 1-inch thick sidewalls, 1-inch thick baffles. It has a huge interior brace, and it has very dense fiber foam. I mean incredibly dense foam to help dampen the interior of that cabinet. That is a well-executed $1,500 speaker from a cabinet perspective. This thing, all the money, majority of the money, is in these two drivers. This is a strange speaker. The Celan series is a strange series for a budget type of speaker. While these drivers are incredibly well built, here's the problem. There's no bracing in this speaker, even though the specification says that there's lots of strutting within the speaker. There's no strutting in the speaker. There's no bracing in this speaker. This is all you get. This is all you get. Along the sides, along the top, and a little piece on the bottom. Nothing but air cavity on the interior. And worse, as I can point out, it was even glued all the way around. I had a couple of panels that didn't have the glue in the corners. One from the front to the back had zero glue whatsoever, and I took a picture for you. Horrible interior execution, if you ask me. So, that played a vital role. When listening to this speaker, actually when I had all three speakers unboxed and I was going through my initial break-in period with all three of them, trying to figure out, okay, what's the strengths, what are the weaknesses, what can I focus on? Here's the good. Here's the good about the Heco Celan. 78 dB and below. I actually will say this. 78 dB and below, the speaker was brilliant. I was shocked. This speaker was absolutely brilliant at 78 dB or below listening sessions, because that paper driver and this tweeter, there's a great combination going on here where there was so much low-level detail. I was blown away at how taut, how fast, how punchy, the pace, the bass depth. Not that it was the strongest bass of the three speakers, but that paper driver, it integrated the bass really well in my room to where it had a subwoofer quality to where you couldn't tell it was coming from the back of the speakers. It was very impressive, and you know, the timbre with instrumentation, it reminded me of the Dolly Rubicon 2s. Had that warmth, it had that tone, and I was just incredibly impressed with these speakers. And for night listening, they're some of my favorite speakers that I've owned or used. Honestly, I mean, just brilliant night listening speakers. Part of that is help from the fact that these are 90 dB efficient. Now that's no joke. The V8B over there are 88, the monitor audio were 87.5. When doing the critical listening test and line leveling, I didn't have to really adjust the volume at all between the Aperion and the monitor audio. The volume pretty much stayed the same with my dB meter. But damn, when I put this one in, there are certain tracks where it was 5 dB louder than the other two speakers. So the efficiency rating is legit with the Heco Celan 3s. Now, having said the good, this cabinet comes into play. As soon as I start to push past 80 dB, this thing falls flat on its face. When I start to push it at 90 dB up to 95, it is an unlistenable mess. I mean, just very unscientific of me. I like to play the speakers at 90 dB, and out of curiosity, I like to go up and touch the sidewalls. I'm always curious at how much energy is vibrating off the sidewalls in the top plate of each speaker. At 90 dB, that Aperion audio, that is a well-damped speaker, and for $1,500, probably one of the best speakers, best cabinets I've come across. There is so little energy on my fingertips with that speaker. This one, especially as the lute tapers back, as the sidewalls taper back, about 3/5 of the way back, there was so much energy vibrating off of these sidewalls that you could absolutely hear it at my listening position. Like I said, you get to 90 and 95 dB, the bass just starts bloating, it starts smearing the mid-range, and the thing is it's just a hot mess. You hear the box colorations just permeating almost all of the notes. I literally was thinking to myself, I'm going to have to disqualify this speaker, because part of my listening is I have to be able to play my favorite songs at 90 to 95 dB. Mind you, those are the peaks. Tool, it has to go to 93 dB peak for me to enjoy it the way I enjoy it, and that's how I test a lot of the speakers. They have to be able to play to 95 dB. This thing could not do it to save its life. And I was about ready to give up on it. However, once upon a time, I did a little bit of testing with an actual 4th generation RX8 monitor audio speaker that I owned. I had read it in the forums, and I tried it, and it worked for helping the mid-range, for helping cabinet damping. I bought automotive dual layer the damping material, which is that nasty sticky bitumen with a thick aluminum liner to it. So I tore everything out and I overlapped it, filled the entire cavity of the speaker with that material. And then instead of putting that crappy polyfill back in, what I did was I got real lamb's wool and about 2/5 of a 1-pound bag per each speaker. I glued tufts all the way through the whole sidewalls so that it's nice and tight and sticks. And I left a little bit of an air cavity from the woofer to the back port. Now the port itself, this huge port, even it rang. When I opened up the speaker and did the flick test, there was almost a full second ringing just on that back port alone. Here's what makes this thing so weird. Again, look at the drivers. Look at the bass driver. That is a serious 6.7-inch paper driver. Dual layer magnet system on that 6.2-inch paper driver. I mean, look at the venting. Look at the way the cast basket is. This thing, it kicks the tar out of the Monitor Audio 8-inch driver. I mean, the power handling, and again, the efficiency is for real. And then the tweeter. Would you look at the dual magnet system on the tweeter? That thing is for real as well. It's all the money is in just those two drivers. And then it's just like everything else is, oh, it's a good looking speaker. Leave it alone and ship it. I don't know what to say. It's one of those things that it's like, why bother putting such good drivers in it if you can't play the thing loud? Why give it such good efficiency if you can't play it loud? But here's the deal. I added about 1.5 pounds of material to each of these speakers when I was done with them. Then I ran them for 2 days very hard, just so that all the wool, all the air cavities within the wool would fill in, and that it would settle and come to what I could expect for another round of critical listening tests with the 3 speakers. And so round and round, 3 songs, 3 times a piece, move them about, and I saved most of the listening notes for this for a reason, because I didn't want to give away the end results. So, prior to the adjustments, Duran Duran, Come Undone, Tidal FLAC, the 16-bit version of it. The Heco is tighter, it's cleaner, and the distortion is pushed to higher limits. I've gained at least 5 dB, which allows me my normal playback range. Before, I had to nearly disqualify this Heco because it could not play cleanly to 90 dB. Ugly box colorations were very easy to spot. The mid-band breakup, bass was getting sloppy. Post my adjustments, nice delicate highs, commendable soundstage width, plenty of inner detail for its price point. The extra cabinet dampening did tame some of the lower volume energy, so I did forget to mention that. While dampening this cabinet and adding that real wool to it, filling most of the space, I did lose a little bit of the energy at low listening levels. So for night listening, it did take a little bit of that funness out of the speaker. It did take a little bit of that tone out where the bass was more damped now. However, the trade-offs are exceptional for that little bit of loss. As a matter of fact, even though I could tell that I lost a little bit of that low-level energy, compared to the $3,300 Totem signatures here, for low listening levels, this is still one of my favorite speakers. This is still one of my favorite speakers all the way up against the Harbeth Super H5s. That's how interesting the low-level detail is of this speaker, and I'll have to say a little bit more about that. When I played Angel by Mezzanine to 94 dB, not through the entire song, mind you. The monitor audio and the Aperion audio, they had none of the deficits of this speaker because of their well-built cabinets. So from that perspective, playing Angel, the bass was tight, taut, and incredibly punchy. And one of the most important songs for me to always play with these speakers is Melody Gardot, Live in Europe, The March for Mingus. And it's her interactions with her band members. It's how well everything's mic'd, not to mention the audience interactions with the bandmates and just the atmosphere that you hear with that live album. And as I was fresh from the Aperion audio playing that song and listening to the audience detail, what was going on there in that the ambient retrieval, as I was writing the notes and I threw the Heco back in, the Heco literally, I went, wow. I couldn't believe it. When I threw this speaker in just after the Aperion audio and how well it integrates that upright bass, this speaker made me say wow for the extra bits of ambient retrieval. And you know, there's something, just the paper driver with that double bass, it has got a warmth and a punch to it that fibrous woofers, you know, composite woofers, Kevlar woofers, on, just don't have that same tone. And again, I liken it to the Rubicon 2, the Dolly Rubicon 2 with that wood fiber woofer that it has. Really reminds me of that speaker, and that's a $3,000 bookshelf speaker. When it was all said and done, when the dust settles, as a complete package, out of the box, off the shelf, the Aperion audio stands above everybody. It just, for a $1,500, it's actually a $1,450 speaker, shipped directly to you. It has no peers. For me, for all of the different speakers that I've owned, and yes, that includes the Sierra EX2 guys, that Aperion audio, nothing can match its bass performance. And while I love the raw tweeter, just the full fill-in, the room fill-in, the integration, the Aperion audio has no peers at that $1,500 range. The monitor audio, it was always third in every single test across every single track it always came in third because it was so inconsistent with its tone. It was so inconsistent with how forward it was, how much it would graze me, how much it would go sharp or it would lose. And there was too much inconsistency to the monitor audio. And the last nail in the coffin was when I put a tube amplifier to it and it became unlistenable, which was the most bizarre thing ever. Playing my FEZZ Audio Titania, my new tube integrated amplifier at 45 watts, KT88s with the Heco Celan Revolution 3. With the modifications, with my little DIY that I've done to the speaker, this is one of my favorite budget speakers now. Before, I couldn't play it loud and it was ready to go. $75 of material, guys, can really help a speaker like this out. And I mean that so much that this speaker's staying with me. This is going to be moved to my bedroom. This is going to be one of my permanent background speakers or my go-tos from a budget perspective. I appreciate it that much. And, you know, that's just the difference with, you know, a little bit more money, a little bit more care to the cabinet design. I recognize how good these drivers are. And that's why I decided to try that DIY. And it worked. It was enough to really flesh out the better attributes of what this speaker is capable of. There's one more thing that I have to add to the quiver of the Aperion Audio V8B of why it's so far and above, in my opinion, one of the better bookshelf speakers, because not only does it kick butt at 2-channel listening, but because of its power handling, its size, and that 8-inch driver, that's a bookshelf speaker that can take the place of a floor stander, a small floor stander, in a home theater environment, and you are still going to get big, nasty, punchy bass. And I mean nasty as in kick butt nasty, good nasty. That thing is a dual purpose, a true dual purpose speaker. And forgive me, Aperion Audio, I'm going to say it again. I would take the V8B any day of the week over the $1,650 N6Ts. It's just, that is a superior speaker that you guys have built. And the attention to detail to the box, attention to detail to taming box colorations at this price point, it was an impressive stark contrast to an overseas $1,650 speaker that I had to spend more money on to even try to compete with your speaker. Now, mind you, this is not a home theater speaker. I would never use this in a home theater environment because it doesn't do the high dynamics. Again, even with what I've done, this is not a speaker you're going to push to 100 dB with, you know, explosions and gunshots. No, sir, not going to happen. That one will handle it all day long. This is staying with me for a while. I am not concluding the $1,500 bookshelf challenge. I am going to keep it rolling. It will be several weeks before I come back to it. While I did want to buy a Sierra LX from Ascend Acoustics, money always comes into it. What can I get certain products for at certain prices? And I pivoted to the side to get another speaker, another California brand that I've been wanting to try for a long time, but they rarely ever come up on the used boards. And that is the Ryan R610 bookshelf speaker. I can't wait to get that thing going and to circle back as a fourth entrant into the bookshelf speaker challenge. Yes, it's pushing the budget a little bit of what they are retail, but at $2,000, it's still within the realm. And the fact that the BMRs are around $1,900 to $2,000, I'm really curious to how it would play against that speaker and how much better, if it is better, than a V8B. So until then, thanks for joining me. Thanks for sticking around for all 3 speaker reviews with the bookshelf challenge. Thank you all. Have a terrific week. And my heart goes out to everybody in the Great Plains in the South with all of those tornadoes. I live in Oklahoma. I get it. Been in my shelter already a couple times. And it's going to be a long summer. So take care of one another. Look out for one another. And do what you can. I wish you all a wonderful week, and I'll see you next time.